All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Living the Dream podcast. Today on the show, we're going through Proverbs 8, verses 4 through 6. Here we go. To you, O men, I call, and my cry is to the children of man. O simple ones, learn prudence. O fools, learn sense. Hear, for I will speak noble things, and from my lips will come what is right. So here, wisdom is imploring us, as wisdom often does, to listen, to learn from wisdom, and then to forsake the foolish ways, to forsake the simple ways, right? And my interpretation here is that fools are going to do foolish things. And that's why they need to learn, what did they say? Learn sense. Fools do foolish things, so they need to learn sense. Simple people do simple things. That's why they need to learn prudence. And when I think of simple, another word for that is easy in my mind. Um, and I say that because prudence is like self-discipline in a way. Let me look it up just to make sure, because I'm pretty sure I looked it up before this, but give me 1 second. Yeah, the ability to govern and discipline oneself by the use of reason. So simple people do simple things, so they need to learn prudence, which means they probably don't have discipline and they probably don't use reason well, which means they take the easy route and act based off of emotion. It's a very simple way of going through the world, right? Foolish people do foolish things that are just dumb, so you need to learn sense. And that's my interpretation of this. But the flip side of that, even though it's not explicitly in the text, is that wise people are going to build their life on wise things. And specifically, these verses use um, the word noble, like wisdom will speak noble things, and from her lips will come what is right. So wise people are going to build their life on noble, right, or correct things because they've learned that sense. They've learned that prudence. They have that baseline of knowledge, that sense, and the ability to govern or self discipline themselves to apply it to their life. So the question here is, which are you? In the entrepreneurial application I could think of, just right off the bat, was taking a look at the core values of your life and business. If you take a look at those core values, are they noble and unifying? Or are they vague, selfish, or simply lack power? And what mean by lack power is lack the power to inspire, lack the power to unite, lack the power to get you up and get you going every day. Is the mission worth sacrificing for? And so that's kind of what I think of when I think of those core values. Those core values are going to be to direct you towards a goal, towards a BHAG, but getting there in a specific way. So one is the mission, enough to get up for and get going every day. And two is the way you're getting there exciting enough, noble enough, you know, sitting well in human hearts. Like, does it sit well enough to like really inspire people to continue to get up and act that way every day? Like, is it something that inspires them? And so that's the entrepreneurial application of this. It's not like I've led a huge team or anything, and I haven't developed core values for a big organization. But you know, thinking about me, I lead my life with core values that I think are important. But I also am more on the vague, selfish side because I couldn't recite them all to you right now. Like I think they're unconditional love, impeccable stewardship, and then God-like energy. I'm pretty sure those are the three, but the fact that I'm not looking at this every day and like, is this how I'm leading my life? Is this how I'm leading my life? You can tell that it's a little selfish, that it may lack a little power, and maybe too vague for me to really resonate with it, right? So that's one way it's shown up in my life, the core values aspect of it. But another way this has all shown up in my life is taking a look at my time in the evening with my wife. And I'm like, what are we building our life on? Are we the fools building on foolish things, or are we wise people building on noble things? And so everything I tend to do has a purpose, like when I wake up and I'm working out, or what I'm eating, or, how I'm spending my time throughout the day. Even the leisure time has a purpose. It's like things I enjoy, things that give me energy. It's good to rest sometimes. Is that the best way to rest? Probably not, but it's not always about optimization. Sometimes it's about accepting myself for who I am right now in that moment, but also pushing myself and disciplining myself. And so there's this give and take of like grace and discipline of, grace, and then obedience, right? Like at a certain point, it's like, yeah, you're loved, but obey, you know? So most of the time I found in my life had purpose, and my evenings were consistently kind of purposeless. And what I mean by that is that it typically falls into TV or video games. And those two things, you do those things when you lack intention. If it's filling up your entire evening, like if you were like, yeah, before I play video games this evening, I'm going to make sure I do this with my evening. Because usually my evenings are set up for this time, which is building community. So I'm going to do something to build community this evening before I spend the rest of my time watching TV or playing video games. I'm going to invite somebody into my life. I'm going to follow up with 3 people to see how they're doing. I'm going to, you know, go play sports and invite somebody to come play sports. I'm going to invite people to watch TV with me. I'm going to go eat dinner with 3 or 4 people, whatever it is, whatever the building community is. I'm going to cast a vision for the community and focus on it for 15 minutes. Law of attraction style, right? Um, you know, my evening had none of that. And my wife and I, Gracie, would talk a lot about wanting to be a force for good in the world. And I was like, well, how are we actually doing that? And so this is where this has shown up in my life recently. It's like, are we actually building our life on being a force for good in the world? Or are we letting time pass us by when we could actually be doing that? We just need to be doing something we can measure to how we're being a force for good in the world. Some people were pursuing consistently, right? And so that's where this has shown up in my life. I had that conversation with my wife literally yesterday, I think. And that was a Friday evening. I was on one because I was reading Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, and he talks about drifters and non-drifters. And I just felt like I was drifting with my evenings. Like every evening it was just drifting. And drifting in the sense that you don't have a clear intention, you don't have a clear major definite purpose. And because of that, stuff that the world would expect you to do just starts to fill your time. And that's what TV and video games felt like to me. I was like, I need to be doing something of intention before I spend my time doing this. And this stuff needs to be bent to that intent, right? So if I invite people to play TV, to watch TV with me, or to play video games with me, and then we have conversation about life and that builds our relationships, then that's more useful of an activity. If I'm just watching TV because I'm bored, or watching video or playing video games because I'm bored, that's not really building your life on being a force for good in the world, is what I was thinking about, right? And again, I'm not saying TV is bad. I'm not saying video games are bad all the time, but if it's stopping you from doing what you know you should be doing, it is bad and needs to be replaced. So, where do I want this to show up in my life? I want all time to have a purpose that is building a future and a present that I'm proud of. And so earlier when I said my interpretation of this is like the simple ones need to learn prudence because they're building their life on simple things. The fools need to learn sense because they're building their life on foolish things. But the wise people build their life on prudence, sense, noble things, things that are right, right? That's what wise people are building their life on. I really want my time to be built, the activities of my time to be built on those foundational things. So when I'm looking at my time, when I'm looking at my actions, results, my feelings, my thoughts, and my beliefs, are they built on those foundational concepts that make up wisdom? So it's not just my time that I want to be built on these foundational concepts, but everything and how I spend that time, which means how I think, how I feel, how I act, the results I get, and the beliefs that drive all of that, and how it's all being reinforced. It needs to be building a future and a present that I'm proud of. So how can you guys apply this to your life? I would say take a hard look at your intention. Take a hard look at your intention behind every thought, action, and second of the day. Sometimes feelings will come and go, right? So we can't really, you take a look at some of the intentions behind your feelings, and it's like, okay, that's just my ego. And then it's like, well, are you a person who believes you need to bend to your ego, to listen to your ego? Maybe you take a look at your beliefs too. Let's take a look at your intention behind every belief, thought, action, feeling, and result, right? Because you could take a look at the intent behind the feelings, even though you can't control them, even though you need to accept your feelings, even though there are a lot of things that a lot of people tell you about what to do with those feelings, but you can still know them, like know thyself. And that runs deep. A lot of older literature will talk about knowing thyself as being very important. I don't think we understand the extent to which we actually need to know ourselves. Like every belief, every thought, every action, every feeling, every result you're getting in your life, and every second of the day. Take a hard look at the intention behind all of that. And then ask yourself, is it purposeful, or are you simply letting time pass? Are you drifting, meaning you lack intention, or do you have a major definite purpose that is directing your life? And when you can answer those questions, realign where you need to, and then reinforce what you need to, and move forward in life. So there we go. That's what we got for you guys today on the show. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you on the next one. And on that note, we're out.